Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be another Premier League predictions video. Another round of exciting and intriguing Premier League encounters are almost upon us for this weekend. And dare I say, the Premier League has thrown up some potentially interesting and feisty encounters for us to sink our teeth into and to feast our eyes upon this weekend. I, for one, cannot wait for this weekend's round of Premier League action to unfold before our very eyes. This is obviously the video where I talk about each and every single game, analyse them and attempt to predict the outcomes of these games. Last week I got 3 results correct out of 10. Didn't get the scorelines right, but I guessed the overall result, giving me a total of 3 points from a possible 30, which is absolutely disastrous. So I'm hoping for a better weekend this week. Before we get into all of that, though, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. I encourage you all to get involved in the comments section as well. Let me know your thoughts, comments, opinions, feelings, whatever it may be. But most of all, of course, I encourage you to give your predictions because after all, people, this is a Premier League predictions video. Where would a video like that be without predictions? Sound good? Great. Let's get on with things, shall we? Let's start off with Friday night's game between West Ham United and Chelsea. A London derby of sorts for your Friday night entertainment. So, fantasy football managers, get your teams in order. Get your teams in check for Friday when these two teams clash at the London Stadium. And I am going with a 2-0 win to Chelsea. Wasn't a great opening weekend by either side, to be perfectly honest. West Ham lost to newly promoted Sunderland in what was an embarrassing 3-0 defeat there. Chelsea drew 0-0 with Crystal Palace and, to be honest, probably slightly fortuitously drew to Crystal Palace at that. But this one should be better for the Blues, you would imagine. You should imagine that West Ham not exactly looking good, not exactly looking great against a Chelsea side who I imagine as the season continues, they will get better and better. And I think they should. And I feel like this one should be where they get their first win of the campaign. I'm going with Chelsea to win. They just should have the better quality of players in all areas of the pitch, better than West Ham. And that is why 2-0 to Chelsea is what I'm going with here. Next up, massive lunchtime clash between Manchester City and Tottenham. Probably in any other game week, this would be the main event. But there's another game I've got my eye on in particular, if you haven't already guessed. I've gone 2-2. Now, Man City were very, very impressive last weekend. Huge 4-0 victory over Wolverhampton Wanderers. Tottenham were also just as impressive with their 3-0 win over Burnley. These two, when they clash, normally throw up a very interesting game, a very exciting game. Tottenham still finding their feet under Thomas Frank. Man City with a very new outlook, a very new squad. The likes of Tierney Reinders hit the ground running last week. I'm sure he'll be looking to continue that fine run of form. It's going to be interesting to see how he continues his form and how City continue to progress as they look to rebuild. Erling Haaland kicked off the season with 2 goals as well. Same as a certain Richarlison on Tottenham's team, as well as their debutant brace of assists from Mohamed Kudus. This one is going to be very interesting. One that I cannot honestly wait for. I'm looking forward to this one. I mean, realistically, if I had to put my neck on the line and predict a winner, I'm going for City. But I do think that on the counter-attack, this is going to be a real tough test for City. And to be perfectly honest with you, if they were against a better attacking outfit last week than Wolves, with all due respect to Wolves, I do feel like Wolves could have got a bit more joy in front of goal. So I think Tottenham can get something in this game. I wouldn't put it past them to get a draw from this. It's going to be tough for either side, but I'm sticking with my original prediction. I'm going 2-2 come the final whistle. Next up, Bournemouth against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Our first of the 3 o'clock games on Saturday. I've gone 3-1 to Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth had a tricky start against Liverpool. They lost 4-2 to the Reds. but it wasn't through a lack of trying. They were somewhat fortuitous not to be down to 10 men early on in that game, but Antoine Semenyo in particular did impress. Bournemouth did battle back from 2 goals down to go 2-2. They just got a little bit lost from that point onwards to the final whistle as to whether or not to go for the win or to stay and hold what they got. They decided to stick with what they had, and ultimately Liverpool's quality outshined them. In this situation though, they are against a more favourable opponent. Wolves will still probably be licking their wounds from that poor defeat against Man City last week. I'm going for Bournemouth to get the job done at home. I'm going 3-1 to Andone Iraola's side. Next up, Brentford versus Aston Villa. Brentford lost to Nottingham Forest on the opening day of the season. Aston Villa drew 0-0 with Newcastle. Wasn't exactly the best performances from either side. Let's say that's pretty much an understatement on Brentford's part. But for Villa, they could have done and probably should have done better against Newcastle. I'm going for Villa to win. Obviously, the home advantage for Brentford is going to be interesting to see this season with what's been going on there in terms of the change of manager, change of coaching staff, change of personnel and all of that stuff in the squad. But Villa should have the quality to shine through. Villa should have the quality in the final third to get the job done. I am going with Villa to win this game. Next up, Burnley against Sunderland. The 2 newly promoted sides battling it out. Big pressure on Burnley to get a win here. Not only just being at home, but also after seeing both Sunderland and Leeds pick up wins in their first games back in the Premier League. Burnley obviously lost to Tottenham. That is big pressure on Burnley right off the bat for Scott Parker. Unfortunately, I don't see them doing so. Sunderland were very impressive against West Ham on their return to the Premier League after a number of years of being absent from England's top flight division, and I see them continuing that fine form here. I think the new boys in the summer, the new signings, the new transfers, gelled in pretty well to begin with. I feel like there was a very good attacking outfit there, solid defensively enough. And I feel like this is another good opportunity to get more points on the board for Sunderland before the real tough games start to kick in. So I'm going for Sunderland to win. I'm going 2-0 to the Black Cats. I feel like they will get the job done in this one. Next up, Saturday's evening game will see Arsenal take on Leeds United. And I've gone 2-1 to Arsenal. Arsenal weren't exactly that convincing against Man United on Sunday, but the important part is that they got the job done on what is a notorious tricky ground for the Gunners to go to. So fair play to Arsenal for getting the job done. This game could also see the debut of Eberechi Eze. Now at this moment in time, it's not done, dusted and official, but it could happen if Arsenal are to register him in time. Either way, I would imagine he's going to be making an appearance in some way, shape or form, whether it be to be unveiled, whether it be to be welcomed to Arsenal, welcome to the Emirates, or he could actually grace us with his presence on the pitch in this game. Leeds, though, no pushovers. They got a very good win on Monday night against Everton, albeit in somewhat fortuitous circumstances. I still don't think that was a penalty, but nothing we can do about it now. The penalty was given, the penalty was converted, and Leeds managed to come away with a big 1-0 win over the Toffees. Massive for Leeds. They start their season off with 3 points. And you know what? In this atmosphere, in this scenario, although the cards are stacked against them, although it is going to be a big uphill struggle, I don't think Leeds can come into this game and be worried about anything. They can throw caution to the wind. They can definitely give this one a real good go here. Arsenal aren't exactly perfect. Arsenal aren't exactly watertight defensively either, I would say. I think that Arsenal can be got at, especially in this kind of scenario. If Leeds play their cards right, if Leeds remain calm, collected, don't do anything stupid and make good decisions, especially in the final third, Leeds could cause some food for thought for Arsenal. But in saying that, I do think Arsenal have the quality in the final third to get the job done. And I do think that defensively, they will probably not stop Leeds from scoring, as I have predicted. But I do think they will stop them enough to get the job done at the attacking end of the pitch, which is why I have gone for a 2-1 win to Mikel Arteta's side to make it 6 points from a possible 6. Moving on to Sunday's games, and what a feisty encounter this is going to be. Crystal Palace taking on Nottingham Forest at Selhurst Park, and given what has gone on between these two in the summer in terms of the whole Europa League fiasco, this one is going to be feisty. Absolutely feisty. Palace can consider themselves maybe a little bit unlucky not to have got more from their draw last week at Chelsea. A 0-0 goalless affair there, whilst Forest ran riot in the first half against Brentford in what was a big victory for them against the Bees. In this situation, though, we know that Palace are a very difficult side to face on their day. The loss of Eberechi Eze is going to be massive for them, and maybe the midweek encounter in the Europa Conference League playoff is going to be huge for Palace themselves. But I still think they get something from this game. I really, really do. I still think they get something from this game. I think the crowd are going to be really hostile and up for this one because of, obviously, like I say, what has gone on between these two sides in the summer. Palace obviously not very happy with Forest, that they seem to be the whistleblower on the affair surrounding them with being demoted down to the Europa Conference League. This one could be a very, very interesting clash. One that I've gone with a point apiece to, but this one could be anything. This one really, really could be anything. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this one unfolds before our very eyes. Moving on to Everton against Brighton, and this one has significance because, of course, this is going to be the first Premier League encounter at the new home of Everton Football Club. Everton beginning life, beginning a new chapter at their new stadium. The stadium that is called the Hill Dickinson Stadium. What a name. What a name, by the way. The Hill Dickinson Stadium. Random. But Everton start a new chapter there, and they welcome their first opponents in their new stadium, Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton got a 1-1 draw last week against Fulham. I think that history will repeat itself here this time around. Look, I just think that Everton, I know that they lost on Monday night to Leeds. I know it was a pretty poor performance from them overall. But I just think new stadium, fans are going to be up for this one. Fans are going to be riled up big time for the beginning of a new season, a new chapter. I just think that maybe that atmosphere might be too much for Brighton to handle. And that may be given the advantage towards the Toffees to get something from this game. So I'm going with a 1-1 draw. I think both teams can get a point apiece from this one. Next up, Fulham taking on Manchester United. I've gone 1-0 United. Now, I'm not expecting goals by any stretch of the imagination from these two. But Man United were somewhat impressive last week. Like, obviously the result, not great. Understatement again. Losing to Arsenal, not great. But the performance was at least encouraging. The performance was at least something to be optimistic about for the future. And I feel like games like this are really where United are going to be proven whether they are heading in the right direction or not this season. Not against your title contenders like your Arsenals or your Liverpools or your Cities or maybe even your Chelseas. These are the games in which it's going to be proven in terms of performance and results. They got a good performance last week, but they didn't get the result. This week, it could potentially be both performance and result for them. Assuming, of course, they sort out their defensive issues, mainly their goalkeeper, which I think they need an entire new goalkeeper in general. Maybe we see Tom Heaton this week because Onana and Bayende are about as bad as each other. Tom Heaton surely can't be any worse. And obviously, if they take their chances in front of goal this week, that's going to be a big, big thing for them. As for Fulham, wasn't exactly the best performances against Brighton, but they managed to get something out of that game. Craven Cottage is no easy place to go. We know that. We understand that. A lot of big teams do go there and don't have it all their own way. As much as I think that Fulham can get something from this game, I'm going with last week's kind of form. I'm going with last week's performances. And I think United can get something and can get a win over Marco Silva's side. So I just think the quality in the final third may just about tip the scales in United's favour. And finally, in what I believe to be the biggest game of this weekend, the biggest main event of this weekend's round of Premier League fixtures, Monday Night Football presents, live from St James's Park, a cauldron of fire that Liverpool are walking into, given the history of these two over the course of the summer with the whole Alexander Isak situation. Newcastle against Liverpool. Now, as much as I want to back my club to the fullest of their capacity, as much as I want to say that Liverpool will get a win over Newcastle and wipe the kind of really random smug smirks off of Newcastle fans' faces that they've had for the past few days in light of the recent updates regarding Alexander Isak. Don't know why they have them, by the way. It's strange to me. As much as I want to say that Liverpool will win this game, I think a point apiece is what's going to happen. St James's Park is a tough place to go anyway. We all know that. We all know that St James's Park is going to be tough. And we know that with the way that Newcastle play and with the vulnerabilities that Liverpool have shown in the early stages of this season, it very well could play into Newcastle's hands that Liverpool's defensive vulnerabilities could play into Newcastle's hands. At the same time, though, Liverpool have enough firepower to score plenty of goals themselves. But we know that this atmosphere is going to be extremely hostile for Liverpool. This is going to be a huge mental challenge for each and every single one of them Liverpool players. They're walking into the Lions' den. The Newcastle fans are going to be up for this one. I've already seen them online perking up. I've already seen them online talk about how Joelinton's going to be arrested for assault charges on Liverpool's midfield, and they're going to be battling tooth and nail for every ball, and there's going to be bloodshed and all of this kind of really weird, over-the-top hype from Newcastle. Forgetting that Newcastle themselves have to keep their emotions in check. They have to keep their own emotions and their own sort of mentality in order to not overstep that mark, to not get too carried away. Because if they do, Liverpool will take advantage. I'm hoping that they do. I'm hoping they take it overboard, and I'm hoping that Liverpool do take advantage, of course. But if they don't, if they play it smart, if they take their chances, because they didn't last week against Aston Villa, if they eventually do take their chances that they are definitely going to get Newcastle, they are going to have a really good game and they are going to get something out of it. If they don't take their chances, if they are too feisty in the challenges, and if they defensively are just a bit erratic and all over the place, Liverpool will take advantage. And I really, really hope Liverpool do win. I really, really hope we do. Would be a massive statement if we did. But I just think with how emotional this game is going to be, with how hostile the atmosphere is going to be, I just think Newcastle will get something. And it's not a bad point to pick up for Liverpool, like I say. Getting a tough away ground out of the way and done with very early on in the season, it's not a bad result. It's not a bad result. So, as long as we don't lose, I'll take it. If we can put in a good performance as well, that would just be a bonus. But the overall goal, get something from the game, keep all of our players intact. Keep all of our players intact. No injuries, no nothing. Get in, do the business, and get out of there. Simple as that. I'm going 2-2. I really hope Liverpool can get the win, though, and wipe the smug smirks and faces off of those Geordie supporters. And there you have it. Those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of my predictions for this weekend's round of upcoming Premier League fixtures as we enter game week 2 of the brand new season? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling about my predictions, and let me know your own predictions down below in the comment section. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League predictions video, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, very soon.